Hey everybody, this is Kenny,
And this is Nathan.
and we are the Cinema Fanboys. This is Nathan's first video, actually.
So
Hooray! We've been waiting for him to do a review
I
with us.
exist. I'm not
He
a
he,
ghost.
he exists. He's not a ghost. He's not just a random name mentioned in the description of the channel. Um, it's just us two today. JD and Keenan are not here today. They're just kind of JD's here, but he doesn't want to talk about the movie.
Yeah, he's lazy.
He's lazy, and the reason why we're specifically doing this review for the original Blade Runner is because we've never seen it before until today. So kind of shocking. We're called Cinema Fanboys, but there's some things we haven't seen. So
Spoiler alert: Kenny got disappointed. He was so disappointed.
well, don't tell them ahead of time. But well, here's the thing. So yeah, we saw, because Blade Runner 2049 is coming out this weekend. We went ahead and saw the original, and I have some things to say about it. Nathan has some things to say about it, and we're gonna go ahead and just break down what basically our thoughts are on it. I didn't know too much about this. I wouldn't even call it a franchise. I guess at this point it is, but it's just I didn't know too much about this film. I'd heard about it in the past. I heard about how good it was, stuff like that. Some kind of overhyped stuff. It's more of a cult classic, but I heard some stuff. I don't know if you heard how much you heard about this film.
I knew that had influenced a lot of stuff. I'm looking forward to. I think it's Cyberpunk 2077 or that whatever that game is by oh fuck.
You talking about Ready Player One?
No. It's by the people who made the Witcher franchise.
Oh no, yeah, I know you're talking about. You're talking about that video game. You're talking about that video game.
So Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever. I knew that Blade Runner had influenced that, but I didn't. The only input I had about this movie was that people thought it was slow sometimes.
Now Blade Runner, after watching it, now I'm an anime fan. I really like classic anime like Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and those two in particular seem to be very influenced by this film. It's got there's that future noir setting with with all the neon lights, the Chinese and Japanese writing, the hover cars, stuff like that. So I could see a lot of, I don't know, what year did this come out? 80 what? Let me see.
It came out in, we should probably have this pulled up. We're so unprofessional.
82. It came out in 82. Yes, it came out in 82. So it came out before those came out. So I could, and the Japanese love American cinema, as far as I know. So I'm gonna assume that this really, really heavily inspired those two things to some degree. Now, let's go ahead and just kind of start off with our basic thoughts about the movie.
First,
I'm gonna let you go first, Nathan.
All right, so I think what we should start off before we get to the plot, we should talk opening and atmosphere because those are, at least for me, those are two things that are very important in a film. Now, when we first started this film, we actually got goosebumps. Just the description, the setup. It was words on a screen. A lot of times opening narration is kind of annoying. You're like, show me, don't tell me. But it did a really good job of setting that up. Or are we doing spoiler reviews yet, or are we waiting?
Yeah, but I don't give a shit. This movie is
okay.
Like
so it talks
years
about
old,
how replicants, sorry, these androids were used as slave labor basically on the outer colonies, and sometimes they would revolt. So now replicants are illegal on Earth. The police have orders to shoot them on sight. So right off the bat, that kind of gets you hooked. And then the atmosphere, man. I think Kenny called it a sci-fi boner. when we first open up, it's showing all these huge, like this dilapidated city, but with these giant futuristic pyramids, and you've got the flame spurts. It's just, and that plus the super cheesy but awesome 80s music, just amazing atmosphere. And as you get into the film, it's like Kenny said, that tech noir, future noir setting, like the Terminator, or definitely you can see how it inspired Ghost in the Shell. It's just, I would watch this film just for the atmosphere alone. It's like Gotham,
in the future.
but in the future,
yeah,
on crack. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, so what he meant by 80s music was that it had an 80s kind of techno soundtrack to it. If you've ever seen Tron or Terminator, just anything from the 80s that was sci-fi, it has that 80s kind of techno sci-fi music to it. In the background, like with the wows and all that other, the wow and all the other shit in the back. It has a, with like organs, like playing, electronic organs, stuff like that. And the film takes place in 2019, which is hilarious because that's in 2 years from now.
Yeah, I want my flying cop cars.
Yeah, and honestly, they should have made it take place a little bit further, kind of like the sequel, but it's whatever. It's gonna end up being like Back to the Future 2 when in 2 years they're gonna be mentioned in this fucking movie.
It's more accurate of a prediction than say 2001, at least. We'll give it that.
Now with this movie, when he mentioned the atmosphere, yeah, it's the whole city. It's kind of dystopian. Everything kind of feels depressing. It's always raining and dark, and there's like ads everywhere. They got some things right with like the things that are still around, like Coca-Cola and shit like that, like on like the big screen ads, kind of like in Times Square. So yeah, the atmosphere. The movie starts with a really great atmosphere. It's directed by Ridley Scott, so I'm a fan of Ridley Scott. Not his recent stuff, but his old stuff like Alien, and so the movie kind of gave me that kind of vibe. But at the same time, just the movie starts off like I said, like a sci-fi boner, and we're gonna coin that shit.
Yeah.
But it really gets you hyped. But then the issue for me is that the movie, it has this awesome atmosphere, but because of the fact that I'm sure they were restrained by the budget and what they could show, you don't really get to see much of that cool sci-fi stuff. Most of the stuff that takes place on ground or like in buildings, and because they're restricted. I mean, the sequel is gonna go more into that, cause just based on the trailers, 2049 looks like they're gonna go more into like actually hovering through the city and maybe some more cool chase scenes.
Oh yeah,
and
the
stuff
trailer
like that.
looks awesome.
But this one, for its time, it looks amazing, and I'm impressed. And honestly, I can see it. I can see the budget being an issue where they, obviously a lot of the filming was done on ground in city areas that they decorated, looked like a sci-fi city, but that didn't impress me as much as the landscape of the city itself from above.
The landscape, the props. The interiors of the rooms, and then if you don't mind me jumping in here real quick,
go ahead.
What they a lot of times movies tend to use CGI and cool tech scenes as a crutch, and because this one couldn't, it had to rely on writing and acting. And even if you don't like the plot, especially like some of the androids, their acting is pretty phenomenal, and Harrison Ford does a good job himself.
As a non-Harrison Ford fan, I'm not a big fan of him. I don't hate him. I'm just not a big fan of him. I like his movies, though. That's the funny thing. I'm not a big fan of him, but I like his movies. But, yeah, Harrison Ford I think he did a decent job. I kind of wanted him to say more or do more. From the way that so, like I said, I don't have much experience with this film. I've never seen it when I was younger. It probably would have blown my mind away a little bit more when I was younger. But the thing with it, though, because of the stuff that people have said about it and, like, the cult status that it has, and this world that it has set up, I expected more out of it.
It was definitely overhyped.
It is overhyped. This movie is not for everyone, okay? Me personally, myself, I had a lot of issues with this film, and one of those issues was the pacing.
It is slow.
This movie is slow as shit. And,
it is so slow.
And the thing is, it's not that I don't appreciate a movie when it's slow. I've seen plenty of movies that are slow, and they're great, but for me, the way this movie is like shown and kind of represented, especially with the name Blade Runner, you kind of expect like more action to it. Like I wanted more action to it, but at the same time to be sophisticated. Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorite films, for example. The original Ghost in the Shell, obviously not that shitty new one, but the original animated Ghost in the Shell movie that really was a great mix between the action and the psychological aspect of like androids and like artificial intelligence and stuff like that. So that was more of what I was looking for. So I was disappointed on the action side. It was just a lot of talking and a lot of just silent moments, and I'm okay with that in certain films and in certain scenes, but like in this, I was just expecting more.
I wanted a gunfight.
I wanted a gunfight. I wanted more of a crazy chase scene.
You can have all the slow dialogue and meaningful symbolism you want. That's great, but give me one gunfight.
You just give me some sort of action scene that really makes up for those slow parts. Because if you lead up to a great action scene, and there's some decent action in this. I wasn't too hot about some of the fights with the androids, with the replicants, but it was okay for what it was, but in my honest opinion, I just feel like this movie is overhyped. The concept is amazing. The concept, is completely amazing coming from someone like Ridley Scott. I can see the concept coming from him because there's the whole android type thing, which is like, from he did that in Alien. This is also based on a book, obviously, It's a loose adaptation of the novel "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" by Philip K. Dick, and but I'm just saying it kind of works with Ridley Scott because he also had that concept of the androids in Alien, but that's more in an advanced future where it's not as big of an issue. They don't have as many technical issues. If anything, this movie seems kind of like a huge prequel to the whole android production thing, in Alien, but it's not the same world. Obviously, I'm just saying it seems like it's some sort of It seems like a little precursor to the to the Weyland Yutani Corporation in the future.
Now, let's talk pacing.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Because I think the film, it could have been a little faster. I didn't mind that it was super slow. What I did hate was the transitions and just the setup of the film. So let me talk about a film that has great pacing for comparison. And for me, that was Dunkirk, which if you haven't seen it, I think that was a great movie.
I still haven't seen it, and I'm regretting seeing it in theaters, but
I won't spoil it for you, man. But
right.
Basically, it's got this Christopher Nolan does this great job with rising tension, where it starts off you're kind of intrigued, and then it just does not let up, and then it's got this wonderful climax. Now, Blade Runner does a really good job with the beginning that gets you intrigued, and it's got the great climax. I thought that the end battle with the android, I think that was very well done. The problem is the whole middle half of the movie. It's just jumping around. There's no rising tension. It just feels so random.
It feels jarring.
It's jarring. Some of the transitions made you go, what the fuck? Like, did you forget to do the editing properly here? I'm trying to remember that specific scene. Okay, well, there's this one really weird scene where it's like he's basically sexually harassing Rachel, this replicant, and then all of a sudden it jumps around. It's like there's no explanation for this. That scene might as well not have happened. It didn't seem to affect the character development at all. In fact, she still loves him for some reason. It feels like this film was in the middle of being edited when they put it in theaters.
Yeah, the thing with Rachel and Harrison Ford's character, what was his name again?
Brian.
Yeah, but no, they call him by the. I don't even remember Deckard. It's not Brian, dude. It's Rick Deckard. Brian is someone else.
Right.
It's a supervisor. See, we're off. We don't even fucking remember his name.
Well, that's probably because he didn't have a whole lot of character development. They didn't even mention his name that much.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Now that you mention it, I have a big issue with the characters. I just feel like I feel like the androids were developed more than the main characters. I feel like Harrison Ford, like Deckard, and then Rachel, the replicant that he falls in love with and tries to help out, like
until he almost rapes her. Basically.
Until he almost that shit was weird. I can see what they were trying to do, but it wasn't done well. He was trying to make her feel emotion and love, but it didn't turn out well. But yeah, I have a big issue with that because not at one point throughout the whole film did I give a fuck about Deckard. Like, I just didn't care about him. It was nothing. You didn't know much about him, and it's okay to have a mysterious character and not have to show his whole past. But I want to know more about him. Like, why does he do this? Why did he become a Blade Runner? Why is he so widely revered as a Blade Runner? Can we see more Blade Runners? Is he the only one? Are there very few of them?
It doesn't really give you a whole lot of information, and it feels like they spent so much time setting up the atmosphere that they forgot all the characters that have to inhabit that world.
Yeah, because when
thrown in there.
Yeah, because when the movie first starts off, I'm very intrigued and I want to learn more about the Blade Runners, the society, and all that. But then through the midway point, it just drops a lot of stuff that concepts that it brings up. It just drops a lot of stuff. I want to know more about Rachel as well, but they just kind of drop her stuff too, and there's not enough. As soon as like she saves him and they just kind of meet up and he kind of falls in love with her and whatnot, like. We don't see her for a good chunk of the movie after that. And it's just him hunting down the, like during that slow time when he's before he's hunting down the androids, when it's just slow, they should use that for more character development or world building. But instead, it's just him kind of walking around. And at some points, he kind of just seemed disinterested in what he was doing as the character Deckard because he didn't really talk much at certain points. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to have silent protagonists, but like. I just wanted to, I guess I was expecting Han Solo, I guess. I was expecting more of that cocky version of Harrison Ford, but I don't know. The character...
masculine yet vulnerable.
Yeah, the back of the DVD case. What's the back of the DVD case for this? It says, like, Harrison Ford brings his masculine yet vulnerable presence to this stylish noir thriller. Whisper that last part.
So, anyways, about Rachel, it's a tragedy because Ridley Scott had the perfect opening to make her a super interesting character. She's got this existential crisis going on. She's kind of mysterious. She's, reminds me a lot of androids in films where they're just finding out they're an android, or they're like Data. They're
or Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, where they're dealing with this. You have no clue what her motivations are. She just does shit. She saves Harrison Ford for no reason. She loves Harrison Ford again after he kind of grabs her for no reason. She's just kind of there. She's an interesting character, but I wish she has no motivation. She's just there, and it's great for a director to make you intrigued by the character and have questions about the character, but at least some of those questions should be answered. They shouldn't be completely mysterious. Unless they're like the villain or the alien. But she's not an alien. She's supposed to be a relatable character. And she's not.
Yeah, and so honestly, I just didn't feel a connection with the film. Like I said, concept, visuals, the music, the world it tries to set up in the beginning, very, very intriguing, and I want to learn more about this world. But it just kind of falls flat for me. Like, I appreciate what it's trying to do. It's not a horrible film by far whatsoever. It is not a horrible film. It's a decent film. But as someone who loves sci-fi and like these big concepts in sci-fi, I feel like you really have to fully realize these worlds and connect people in a way to this future. Because why the fuck else is anyone going to care about this future? You know, you have to connect people. You have to show that there's still humanity in this future. And I guess they try to do that through Decker by him helping Rachel, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of ends and it just kind of goes. I mean, it's okay for it to just kind of end the way it did, but like Nathan mentioned, it's, there's just nothing. There's not really much of a payoff, and I don't know. I lost interest halfway through the film. I enjoyed it. The parts that were there, the parts that really intrigued me, like the sci-fi concept, the visuals, like the music. I enjoyed those parts, but the story for me, it just felt kind of pointless. I wanted to know. It didn't have big enough stakes to me. It was just it was just him hunting down 4 people, but the stakes weren't that high. Like I would have loved to have seen the replicants, maybe them
being made, something about their origins.
Yeah, because to me the replicants, they just felt evil, but they should have made it where the replicants have more of a purpose for what they're doing. They consistently mention how does it feel to be hunted now. It's scary to be hunted. When they're messing with Harrison Ford's character, like they make him see how scary it is being hunted down by people because of the replicants. And so and the whole concept of the film is basically like you shouldn't hunt these replicants down because they're not all bad. Some may have gone haywire because they're robots. They're not perfect per se. But at the same time, they have emotions at this point, and and they also have a short lifespan. And it's just like, should we really, be doing this? Are we like, you could also go into concepts of like defying God and stuff like that. They don't really go into that, but I just feel like it's unrealized potential. I want to read the book. I'm hoping the book is a lot better with this concept, but I just feel that the movie didn't live up to the potential that it could have been, and because of that, I'm gonna have to give the movie.
Well, let's hold off on the rating yet. I want to talk about the ending. Hold off on the rating.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I was so ready there.
You were so ready.
I was so you ruined
you got review blue balls.
Yeah, just go.
Okay, so we talked about in the beginning, amazing intro, kind of drags in the middle. I loved the ending because I forget his name. So there's
we don't even remember their names.
Yeah,
no one gives a fuck
poor
about
character
them.
development. But the last android, he's a military model, and basically all of his buddies have been killed by Harrison Ford or by other forces. So he knows that he's only got a very short amount of time to live. So he's only got one thing in mind, and that's vengeance, and not just killing Ford. He wants him dead in a very painful manner, I should say. So you get into this old hotel that gives you a very Gotham-y vibe. And he's just this insane man who you see for the first time some of the android's powers when he moves literally out of the way of bullets. He's punching through walls, crawling through walls. He's hunting Ford down. It got my heart beating. It was a very that's where I was like, oh, I can see Ridley Scott here. This reminds me of Alien. He's being hunted by this mysterious creature. But unlike Alien, Alien, where there's no emotion, no relatability, this guy, he you could kind of understand his struggle, and that terrified me even more. He actually reminded me a bit of the Joker, He's just so... He definitely wasn't a good of a villain as the Joker, but he was just so evil and took so much joy in causing pain, yet he had some spark of humanity. He at least cared for his friends, and that's what separated him from the Joker. But anyways, that scene, I just thought it was a really well done ending.
Harley Quinn, the girl.
Yeah, that one other android he loved, she was Harley Quinn.
Yeah, with the acrobatics
without the baseball bat
and the makeup and all that shit.
All right, let's hear your review, Ken.
Yeah, so overall, like I said, I'm sorry, I'm just exhausted. Like I said, this movie almost made me fall asleep. I'm not gonna lie right now.
It's 8:30 on a Tuesday night, and this film almost put Kenny to sleep.
Oh my god, leave me alone, okay? I've had a long day. Just look. So yeah, the concept is great. The visuals, the music. I said the same shit I said before. It's I can see why it has a cult following. They didn't really make anything more after this. They had some like sequels to the books, and there may have been some comics as well. But it just didn't capture me. It's okay if a film is slow and has its slow moments and has dialogue, but like the end, even the action to me, it wasn't that great. I just felt like the editing was kind of choppy at certain points, and also like I know you like the ending. I don't really like it. I don't know. I thought it was a little bit. The android got a little bit weird.
But like the Joker, I guess that's kind of what makes him scary. But
I know, but I wanted him to be more kind of like robotic, I guess. I don't know. Just the ending to me, it was okay. At that point of the movie, I had already checked out, so I didn't give a shit anymore. I just wanted it to end, and I'm sorry. I know some people are gonna hate me because of that. I'm sure some people love this movie and hold it dear to their heart, But this is just my opinion. I just expected more out of it because when it comes to sci-fi, you have an awesome concept. You really have to kind of go through with that and make it just worth it. And with a movie like Alien, for example, that's also by Ridley Scott, and it's slow, but the build-up is amazing. That to me works better. And I was trying to find a certain pace, a certain kind of atmosphere for this film, because by the end of the movie, the chase kind of the whole thing with the last android kind of feels like a horror film, which is kind of what he said. But I don't know. I feel like the atmosphere for it, whatever tone the movie had, was kind of all over the place in certain parts. But
right.
I'm gonna go ahead and get my rating
before I jump in again.
Before you jump in again, and then you can do your rating. But I'm gonna have to give it like a 6 out of 10. I'm sorry, guys. It's okay, but I don't know. I'd probably like rent it or something, but I don't think I'm gonna watch this again unless and here's the thing. I'm really excited for the sequel. The sequel looks great. I like Ryan Gosling. The sequel looks gorgeous. It's getting great reviews. But I'll be the judge of that myself as well. So once we review that this week, I'm gonna be hard on the movie if it has the same kind of issues, but it looks to be better. It looks to have more action in it. The visual upgrade to it looks a lot better. So I'm gonna have to wait and see what happens with Blade Runner 2049. But I am excited to see Blade Runner 2049 because I hope that they finally got this concept right and they do it better.
They need to do it justice.
I feel like the sequel's gonna do justice to it, but I don't want to get my hopes up too much. So. Yep, so 6 out of 10, that's my opinion on it. It's alright, so go ahead.
Alright, so actually I wanted to jump on what Kenny said earlier. He mentioned that the androids didn't really act like robots that much, and that's really true because up until the end of the chase scene, they don't, and then a couple times earlier in the film where you see their strength, they really seem like human. In fact, when they're shot, they actually bleed red. Now, I understand that you want your androids to seem human, both for plot reasons, and then you get that whole existential crisis thing. But when there's nothing that really separates them from humans, except for like a couple visual cues you get, there's just no intrigue. I love the androids in Ridley Scott's other film, in Alien, because they're super strong and they've got that weird blood and organ thing, and it gives you that really uncanny valley vibe.
They talk robotic.
They talk robotically too.
You can tell that they're robotic.
And with this one, with the exception of Rachel, they talk very human. And with Rachel, that may have just been bad acting. I don't know if that was deliberate or not. Yeah. So yeah, that's just I felt like the androids I love existential crises, especially in androids. Data is one of my favorite characters of all time, so I just feel like this was an Ex Machina, one of my favorite films of all time. So I feel like there was a huge missed opportunity here. So I'm going to go ahead and give my review for this film. I'm going to give it a 7.5. It's definitely one that you want to see, especially if you're a nerd and you want to be caught up on culture. Definitely not like watch it on a slow night. It's probably not a movie night movie, just because it's slow. It can be kind of boring.
Watch
sometimes.
it by yourself. It's not really a movie to watch with friends.
Watch it by yourself or with someone you know who will keep you awake if you have a tendency to fall asleep during movies. I don't, so I'm good to watch by myself. It's good. It's what I call a fixer-upper movie where you're like, okay, the concept is great. I just wish I could have edited this better, you know? What other films would you say would fall into that for you? Because for me, I actually...
Fixer-upper thing?
Yeah, so for me, actually... I don't want to touch Star Wars, but Episode 4 is one of those things where it's like almost perfect. There were just a couple really campy scenes that I would edit, but like it's a fixer-upper film. It's great, but just you want to tweak it a little bit.
One movie for me that I really actually love, but I would still fix if I could, would be Peter Jackson's King Kong from 2005. I absolutely love that film, but it's unnecessarily long. It's 3 hours long in the first hour.
Holy shit. Really?
Yeah, it's 3 hours long. It's like 3 hours something long. It's a fantastic... You haven't seen it?
No.
It's a fantastic film. I love that film. I love what Peter Jackson did with King Kong. I prefer it over Skull Island. I thought the acting was pretty good, in my opinion.
Since we're talking fixer-upper and Peter Jackson, we got to talk The Hobbit.
I haven't seen The Hobbit.
Okay.
I'm not really a Hobbit fan, but...
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. I'm more... What I'm saying is that with that movie, it was too long, and this movie was too long for me too. Shit.
It was only 2 hours though, and there are a lot of 2-hour movies that.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was only 2 hours. Okay, the
pacing was so terrible.
The new one's a lot longer. But anyway, with Peter Jackson's King Kong, with that movie, the first hour is unnecessarily long. It takes them way too long to get to the island. That by that point, a lot of people check out. But it's still a great film. As for other films that I would fix, this is a kind of complicated film to kind of talk about. Man of Steel. A lot of people hate the DC extended universe. I'm not a big fan of it either. I love DC, but their movies are terrible. However, with Man of Steel, there's a lot of things I like about it, but about a lot of things I hate about it. And if I could just fix some things in it, it would be great. Or other people have talked about the same thing. There's a lot of people agree with certain things that they could have fixed in it. I can't think of anything else at the moment that I would fix up. There's plenty of things that I would have fixed up, but at the moment I can't think of anything right now.
Right.
But we might do an episode on that.
Cool. So I don't want to get sidetracked. But Man of Steel, yeah, I agree. I really like that film, actually. There are definitely things to fix. But
yeah, I own it. I like it. I own it. But I haven't owned anything after that, though. Yeah, so I haven't owned any of the other DC films after that. I own the Dark Knight stuff, but
I don't even think we should call that. That's not DC. That's Christopher Nolan's own thing.
It's still a DC character, though. But you know what I mean, the DC-based films. I'm trying to think what other... Yeah, right now we're gonna do an episode on that because there are some things I want to talk about that we should fix. Actually,
let's save that for another episode.
Yeah, let's save it for another episode. But anyways,
Blade Runner.
That's our thoughts on Blade Runner as first-time viewers. Like I said, I don't know much about the culture behind this film. How many people hold it dear to their hearts or whatnot. Most people, I feel like most people, if you mention it to them, they probably haven't seen it. It seems like more of a cult film. It wasn't super successful in the U.S. compared to other things, obviously, like Terminator and stuff like that. But I can see the cult following behind like the real like sci-fi geeks that are like like I love sci-fi, but there's those sci-fi geeks out there that are really deep into everything, all of it, and but yeah, it was okay. But but we are excited for the new one. We're gonna go ahead and I wouldn't say pumped, but
I'm pumped.
You're pumped. But
I'm pumped. Kenny's not pumped.
I'm a little bit pumped. I'm a little bit. I got a little bit boner for it, but I'm excited and just to see whether or not they are able to get that concept right this time. But anyways, we'll be coming out with a review for Blade Runner 2049 this weekend, I believe. So we're gonna finally get a weekend one done, and we'll give our thoughts on that. It should be all four of us this time. Finally, we'll have an all 4-man review. But yeah, Nathan's first review, not bad, and we'll have
Not bad.
Not bad.
I did a great job.
You did an amazing job, and also throughout October we're going to be doing horror movie reviews. So look out for that. We're going to have special segments on different horror films and what we think about horror in general in films. So look forward to that. Once again, this is Kenny.
This is Nathan.
And thanks for watching.